Hi everyone, and welcome to this video about LearnBook. I thought it's about time I record a video to get back to the basics of LearnBook. What is LearnBook? Why did I create it? What do I as a teacher use it for? So that maybe you can get an idea from watching this of what you could use it for before you sign up and give it a try. I know that this is a platform that benefits me a lot in my teaching. I know it can benefit other people too, but I think you have to find your own personal way of using LearnBook through being inspired by seeing what other people are doing. So I'm hoping that me showing you what I'm doing and explaining a bit about what I'm doing can help inspire you to get into LearnBook too, and find what way you want to use LearnBook in your own teaching. So just to give a bit of background about why LearnBook was created, I'm a teacher myself. I've been teaching for nearly 10 years. I spent 8 of those years teaching full-time business English in Paris to adults. And some of that time I spent as a director of studies in a school where I was creating programs, and I was helping teachers create worksheets and to improve the pedagogy of their activities. And so in that time, I did a lot of digital things. I did use videos in my classes. I would use TED videos or worksheets or YouTube videos, and recording myself, recording learners and sending videos to them, things like that. So I had developed already in my teaching these kind of experimental practices that you as a teacher may or may not do. And I've realized from talking to teachers about this platform and trying to get them to use this platform that it's not at all obvious if you haven't already been experimenting with using digital tools. I talk to teachers, for example, who use Padlet, and I really like Padlet as a platform. It's very similar to LearnBook, and these teachers had a great idea already of how to use LearnBook because they were already in the process of sharing videos, sharing worksheets, recording themselves, asking the learners to record themselves. So they had all of these concepts already well developed. But then in another teaching context where a teacher is doing more blended things where they're giving work for homework after a face-to-face, and the face-to-face is the linchpin of the training program. It's the point of quality in the whole training program, and that the work online is more supplementary work to keep the learner practicing, to keep their level up in between classes. So there's a lot of different profiles out there, and I think it's not as I make it seem easy, I suppose, when I do my videos and show how I do my particular method of teaching with LearnBook. And so I wanted to get back to the basics and just talk about what it can do to help inspire you maybe to find your way of teaching, your own personal way of teaching with LearnBook. So LearnBook is a platform, an online platform where you can create your own school. You can have your own logo and your own colors. And you get a blank slate where you don't have any groups. You can create your own groups. A group is basically you as a teacher plus a learner or multiple learners if you have groups, multiple learners. And in each group, there is a list of lessons. So here, and this menu here is the list of lessons. This represents, for me, for my use of LearnBook, this represents a training program. So when I organize to train somebody, I'm doing adult professional English. So I'm telling them we're going to do a program of 20 hours. That's going to involve 10 hours of talking to me face-to-face and 10 hours of doing work here on the platform. So personally, what I do then is I create 20 of these lines, 20 lessons. Some of them will be face-to-face, like this one. Where you can see there's a face-to-face symbol on there. And some of them will be online ones where you can see a computer. So I set that just with a tick box on and off in the lessons. It's very easy to do. And so that's how I imagine my program transformed online. I just put in one lesson for each module, and then I name them whatever the point is of that module. So for example, product presentation, it's about presentation techniques. It's about listening for detail, it's about native accents, and I'm teaching all of these things online. That's my personal way of doing it. If I do an online lesson, it's a lesson that's really online. So it's got my introduction to the lesson, it's got a video that we need to watch with questions that I've made, a point about listening skills, how to improve listening skills, and then at the end, a personal part where the learner has to record themselves like I've done, presenting the points, so proving that they've learned what I've taught them in this lesson. So that is not, there's no part of that where I meet the learner face-to-face. I do it all online. Now that's the way I do it. And then so when I do a face-to-face lesson, it's a lesson where I'm using the sections of LearnBook, which these white parts here you can see are the sections. They contain a chronologic stream of chat, of messages, and each section has its own separate stream of messages. So you can, as a teacher, you can separate up the activities that you're asking your learners to do and the replies. So when my learner replies here, I can get feedback underneath and keep it all within the same context, within the same activity, separate from the next part. So with that, you can, in a face-to-face lesson, then I'm going to put in these parts, things like vocabulary records. So I'll maybe, during the face-to-face lesson, I'll have LearnBook open and I'll put in the vocabulary from this lesson and ask the learner perhaps to make some sentences with that for homework. And so they can type or they can record their sentences depending on their level for homework, and it gives them a little bit of extra practice. And I might also use it to record one of their role plays. So if I'm in with them in a class doing a role play, then I can record that role play and then when I click stop, that will upload into the message in the platform, and then I can use that again either for homework. I can say do the minutes of, if it's a meeting, for example, do a minutes of the meeting that you can see in the video we've recorded. So it's extra practice, but it's also practice where the learner's seeing themselves, they're seeing themselves performing in English, so I'm teaching English, and they're hearing me as the teacher again doing this role play with them. So there's that level of extra practice and that level of rewarding yourself, I suppose, for seeing how well you've done, or maybe to check some of your mistakes, or if it's a group lesson, perhaps they could check each other's mistakes. And so there's a lot of possibilities there for how this can be used in face-to-face lessons too. So that's how I use it. Now you could do what I've told you to do in a face-to-face lesson. You could record their role plays. You could record the vocabulary. At the end of the lesson, for example, perhaps you've noticed there was a particular grammar point that wasn't part of your lesson, but you would like to work on at home. Well, that's the kind of thing where you create a section and have that as the homework grammar section. You look with the learner during the face-to-face class for a video or for a link to an article that explains the grammar point, and then either in the class or just out after the class, you can compose some questions, or perhaps the link that you have already has some questions. You either copy and paste them into LearnBook so then you can actually see the answers, or you just tell them, go to the link, do the quiz, and come back to me with the results. I've seen that. That's been very successful, where one of my learners went and did the quiz on englishpage.com, something like that, and then they would take a screenshot of the answers that they got and put the screenshot into the text editor, and so that I could have a look at that and see what answers they got wrong. So that was quite funny, and it was a nice way then in the next face-to-face class to discuss what they'd done right or wrong. So that's another way it could be used. And then, so there's no reason why, for example, this couldn't be a whole stream of lessons that are all face-to-face lessons, that you don't do any particular lessons online like I do, but you're really working with face-to-face, and that's your key product. So make them all face-to-face lessons. So you've got 10 face-to-face lessons, or you're continuously doing face-to-face lessons. You can make new ones each week. And then during that class, you've got LearnBook open, and you're working with the learner to fill that lesson on LearnBook with the work that they need to do outside, or with records of things that you've done that you want the learner to be able to consult outside the classroom. So everything that goes in here, it's a centralized repository for the things that are going on outside the classroom, and you're negotiating with your learner to personalize it to what way they want to work outside the classroom, or with the group to what way they want to work outside the classroom. There's also the possibility with a group, we could be doing projects where each section is a part of a research project where the learners have to go away and find something about a link and bring it back into the editor and put the information that they found and collate that all together. And one person is responsible for writing a report, and or they do a shared Google document or something like that. And so each section would be the chat that the learners conduct together, to see to contribute the information that they've been researching to that goal of producing something that then the teacher at the end can come in and correct, and can correct within LearnBook. So again, if it's really, I suppose, the concept for me at the base that LearnBook has rich media. So you can put in videos from YouTube, TED, any kind of embedding sources. You can put in your own videos you've recorded yourself, your own audio you've recorded yourself. You can also add MP3 links or MP3 files that you want to upload. If you have files that you're allowed to share, you can upload them into the platform too. So you've got a lot of rich media, and at the same time, you've got the communication with the learner as a core concept. How much of that you want to do, it depends on how much you're actually billing. I know I'm billing for the time that I do on LearnBook. So if I do a 60-minute LearnBook lesson and I'm speaking and recording myself and correcting, then I'm billing for that. If you're just doing it as homework, then you're not necessarily billing for that. So that could be something that's just, you try to spend as little time in there as possible. You're just doing most of it in the face-to-face class. But it's still, all of that stuff is centralized, all that content is centralized. So it's a living, evolving record of what you've been doing inside the classroom and how the learner's been practicing outside the classroom. And that the interface is modern, it's intuitive, because it looks kind of like an email inbox, I suppose. You can star things, you can flag things, so the learner can put in favorites and flag things they need to do. And you can even put in evaluation lessons. You can tag lessons as evaluations, so the learners can then see in 2 or 3 lessons throughout the course, how are they doing in terms of are they progressing. You can put in your own evaluations with quizzes or with video questions or something like that, to let them see how they're progressing throughout the course, really visualized just by filtering for those lessons. I don't have any at the moment, but filtering through those 2 or 3 lessons and comparing them to see how they've actually progressed over the space of 6 months or a year or something like that. It's really useful for them to be able to congratulate themselves and see how well they've worked. So I hope that gives you some idea of the potential of LearnBook, and that you might be interested in getting in and trying it out. So go to teacher-powered.com to see a little bit more, and there's an option to send your email to ask for a demo. So I'd be happy to get in touch with you and talk about a demo if you want to get in and try it for yourself. And just get in touch with me through YouTube, or richard@osbornesolutions.co. If you want to talk to me more, I'd be very happy to give you more information or a demo. Just let me know, and thanks for watching.